might be related to state behavior and corporate interest in different parts of the world. Despite this, major approaches in the field have been focused more on international system perspective. So, international political economic thesis relies very much on neoclassical economic theories and the perspective. We have already discussed this neoclassical theories in economic subject. IPE focuses especially on the distribution of market profit. The neoclassical economics does not. Although every society benefits from the successful operations of international market, at least on a long-term basis, income is rarely evenly distributed among the economic actors, and the countries are generally very concerned about their relatively large profits. Although economists see markets as a self-regulatory mechanisms separated from the political affairs, IPE experts are concerned that the global economic systems has an important impact on the national societies, their power, their values, and their political autonomy. So states are strongly encouraged to generally take measures to protect their own values and interest, in particular their power and freedom to act, and also to exploit the market forces in order to increase their power and influence on the rivals or friendly states. Is the point clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
See, it's a kind of law, economics, and combination of all these things. So kindly take it with a little bit pinch of salt. As we talk about the international political economy, it is also known as the global political economy. It refers to either the economics or an interdisciplinary academic discipline that analyzes the economics, politics, and international relations. So here we are concerned with the economics, politics, and international relations. IPE is most closely linked to the field of macroeconomics, international business, then international development and development economics. Now, when we talk about the approaches to the international political economy, there are three major approaches. These are, number one, the economic liberalism. Economic liberalism क्या होता है? It is also referred to as the liberal capitalism. Is an economic system organized on the individual lines, meaning that the greatest possible number of economic decisions are made by the individuals or the households rather than by the collective institutions or the organizations. It includes a spectrum of different economic policies, but its basis is on strong support for a market economy and private property in the means of production. So this is called as economic liberalism. Here we are talking about the liberal capitalism. The second one is called as neo-mercantilism. So neo-mercantilism is basically an economic theory that maximizes the benefits to and the interest of a country, such as the higher prices for the goods traded abroad, price stability, stability of the supply, and expansion of the exports with uh, concomitant reduction of the imports. It promotes the exports, deters the imports, and controls the capital movement. So the aim of the neo-mercantilist policies is to increase the level of foreign reserves, which is held by the government. It also allows for more effective monetary policy and the fiscal policy. Now, talking about the neo-Marxism, neo-Marxism basically encompasses the 20th century approach that amend or extend the Marxism and Marxist theory, typically by incorporating the elements from other intellectual traditions such as the critical theory, then you have the psychoanalysis, then other theories are also there. An example of syncretism in neo-Marxist theory is Eric Olin Wright's theory of contradictory class locations, which incorporates the Weberian sociology, the critical criminology, and anarchism. As with many uses of the prefix that neo, some theorists and the groups designated as neo-Marxist have attempted to supplement the perceived differences of orthodox Marxism or a dialectical materialism, and many prominent neo-Marxists such as Herbert Marcuse and other members of the Frankfurt School have historically been sociologists and psychologists. So neo-Marxism comes under the broader framework of the New Left. In a sociological sense, neo-Marxism adds Max Weber's broader understanding of social inequality, such as the status and the power, to Marxist philosophy. Example of neo-Marxism include the critical theory, एनालिटिकल मार्क्सिज्म एंड फ्रेंच स्ट्रक्चरल मार्क्सिज्म. ये सब इकोनॉमिक्स का पार्ट है. ये सब ग्लोबल स्कूल्स में पढ़ाया जाता है. लंदन स्कूल ऑफ बिजनेस, अपना दिल्ली में स्कूल है, स्कूल ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स. ये सारी चीजें बहुत डेप्थ की हैं इकोनॉमिक्स की. ये आपको केवल एक ओवरव्यू दे रहा हूं. अगर डीप में जाने की कोशिश करेंगे तो एक बहुत बड़ी बुक है जिसमें आपके करीब 400 से 500 पेजेस हैं. वो एक टॉपिक को एक्सप्लेन करने के लिए बनाई गई है. अब अगर ये तीनों टॉपिक अगर आप पढ़ेंगे तो 1500 पेजेस आपको केवल ये तीनों टॉपिक पढ़ने में लगेंगे. तो केवल मैंने आपको एक ओवरव्यू दिया कि इट हैज गॉट 3 अप्रोचेस बिकॉज द क्वेश्चन कैन कम in your objective type paper, that what are the approaches to the IPE. So the approaches would be given. If any of the approaches are given, then that would be the correct answer. If anyone is not given, then that will be the none of the above answer would be most applicable. So you have to identify that. I'm just trying to clear your concepts. Now talking about the economic systems, as we had already thrown a light and I had already discussed a lot on the particular economic systems in my previous session, but you must understand that the global economic system has been divided into the capitalist economy, the socialist economy, and the mixed economy. These are the different types of economic systems that exist. Now we will understand through this particular tabular difference that what are the points of differentiation between the capitalism, socialism and the mixedism economies. So here in case of capitalist economy, the ownership of means of production, it is the private ownership. In socialist economy, that is the public ownership. In mixed economies, we have the private ownership and the public ownership. When we talk about the economic motive, in capitalist economy, the motive is profit. You have to earn the profit, you have to add surplus value. In socialist economy, we talk about the social welfare because the means of production and everything are basically under the control of the government. They are more or less regulated by the government in case of socialist economy. In case of capitalist economy, everything is private mostly. So the private players are in large numbers and they are trading in the industry, they are trading in means of production completely privately owned. This is also called as the capitalist economy. Sometimes it is also referred to as the free market economy, which I am going to discuss later. So when we talk about the particular economic motive, as you can see, capitalism has got a profit motive, socialism is indicating towards the social welfare, and mixedism that indicates towards social welfare and profit motive. It means it works on both the two principles of capitalism and the socialism. When we go for the solution of central problems, in case of capitalist economies, the solution of central problem is free market system. In case of socialism, it is central planning system. Everything is being centrally planned by the government. And in case of mixedism, the central planning system and the free market system exist. So it means it is a mixture of both. Now talking about the government role in case of capitalist economies, as you can see here, the government roles is only for the internal regulation only, whereas in case of the socialist economy there is complete involvement of government. They take the control of everything, so you cannot hide, you cannot start any business without the permission of government. That is very important. Mixedism economy, the government has got a limited role, and that is what we are following. Now income distribution in case of the humanitarian organizations are not working over there because it is entirely controlled by the dictator. When you talk about the recent development in North Korea, it has to be remembered that it is one of the most secretive countries in the world, and it is with the great difficulty that any news tickles out to the world at large. वहां से कोई न्यूज बाहर नहीं आती, वो आने ही नहीं देते, उनके पास में पूरा कंट्रोल है गवर्नमेंट के पास में. अगेंस्ट दिस बैकड्रॉप केम द COVID-19 pandemic. What already a country behind a thick wheel only can clamp down harder on exchanges with the outside world. लोग उसको हेल्प इसलिए नहीं करना चाहते क्योंकि नॉर्थ कोरिया जो है उनकी पॉलिसीज बहुत अलग है. वो किसी के तरफ अपना ग्रेटिट्यूड एक्सप्रेस नहीं करना चाहते. वो बस क्या है, वो लोगों को डराने में बिलीव करते हैं. वो ये दिखाना चाहते हैं कि वो उनके पास सब कुछ है. अपनी आधी से ज्यादा जो उनके पास में रेवेन्यूज हैं, जो इन्वेस्टमेंट है, वो डिफेंस के ऊपर खर्च करते हैं. नए नए न्यूक्लियर टेस्ट करते हैं, मिसाइल टेस्ट करते हैं, उनको उसमें मजा आता है. और अगर वो उसमें गवर्नमेंट का अगर इंटरवेंशन नहीं होगा तो वो ऐसा नहीं कर सकते. गवर्नमेंट का मतलब वहां पे एक ही पर्सन है, किम जोंग यूंग. वही गवर्नमेंट है, वही सब कुछ है. तो दूसरे कंट्री हेल्प भी करना चाहे तो उसको नहीं कर सकते. दूसरा कोई और ऐसा कंट्री नहीं होगा प्योनयांग के अलावा. प्योनयांग नॉर्थ कोरिया का वहां का कैपिटल है, जहां पर बेसिकली आप देखेंगे कि सिचुएशन बहुत डिफिकल्ट है. वही एक ऐसा जगह है जो ठीक है, बाकी सब जगह पे लोग बहुत पुअर हैं, उनके पास में पैसे नहीं हैं, वो इंटरनेशनल हेल्प मांगने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, बट वो आ ही नहीं सकता रिलीफ पैकेजेस बिकॉज COVID-19 का एक तो फियर है, दूसरा ह्यूमैनिटेरियन एजेंसीज वहां पे काम नहीं कर रही हैं. तो ये सारे रीजन है जिसकी वजह से उनको फेमाइन या ड्रॉट के सिचुएशन में भी कई बार सोवियत यूनियन के अलावा उनको कहीं से हेल्प नहीं मिली, या उनको यूनाइटेड नेशंस के अलावा कहीं से हेल्प नहीं मिल पाई. ओके,
यस सर.
एनी क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम एनीवन?
नो सर.
सर ये इराक ईरान भी डिक्टेटरशिप ही है ना सर, ये सीरिया वगैरह?
इराक का केस देखिए ऐसा है, देयर वर डिक्टेटर्स स्टिल. ईरान हैज और डिक्टेटर रिसेंटली अभी चेंज हुआ है वहां पे. जब बात की जाती है डिक्टेटर्स की, तो डिक्टेटर्स दो तरीके से काम करते हैं. या तो वो कंट्री का अपलिफ्टमेंट करते हैं, इकोनॉमी को स्ट्रॉन्ग करते हैं. चांसलर जैसे जर्मनी का आप लोगों ने देखा, जर्मनी में हिटलर के टाइम पे काफी ग्रोथ हुई, सब कुछ हुआ, बट देन एट द सेम टाइम ह्यूमन राइट्स की धज्जियां उड़ा दी गई. वहां पे ह्यूमन राइट्स के नाम पे कुछ नहीं था. तो देन मुसोलिनी, यू नो, वेरी क्लोज फ्रेंड ऑफ हिटलर. देन टुडे वी हैव चांसलर इन जर्मनी, एंजेलिना मर्केल. ये चांसलर जो होते हैं ये क्या करते हैं, पूरा कंट्रोल करते हैं, बट डेमोक्रेटिक वे में कंट्रोल करते हैं. तो डिक्टेटर्स जहां जहां पर आपको दिखेंगे, हो सकता है कि वो ग्रोथ करें. फॉर एग्जांपल यूएई में राजा का कानून चलता है, बट देन यूएई इज वेरी डेवलप्ड कंट्री. उनकी करेंसी भी बहुत स्ट्रांग है, उनके कंट्री में कोई भी विदाउट कार घूमता नहीं है. और वहां की कंट्री की इकोनॉमी आप देखेंगे बिकॉज ऑफ फ्यूल, बिकॉज ऑफ पेट्रोलियम, वो काफी हाई है, वो काफी अच्छी है, बहुत अच्छी कंडीशन में वो लोग. तो ये कंट्री टू कंट्री डिफर करता है कि आपके पास में पैसा है, ठीक है, बट देन आपकी पब्लिक के पास में कितना पैसा है, आपकी जनता के पास में कितना पैसा है, ये डिफाइन करता है कि एज ए डिक्टेटर आप कैसे हैं. आप सेल्फ फोकस्ड हैं कि आउटवर्ड फोकस्ड हैं. एनी अदर क्वेश्चन?
यस सर.